Welcome, the anointed ones. The loudest scream in the room is sometimes the one that never opened its mouth. You ever seen someone so calm that it made people around them completely lose their minds? Well, brace yourself, because here's the wild truth. Studies have shown that individuals who maintain composure during high-stress situations trigger more anxiety in manipulators and control freaks than those who openly react. Why? Because you're calm means they've lost access, and for people who thrive on chaos, that's worse than a prison sentence. And let's be honest, someone out there is probably clutching their pillow right now like it's a life preserver, whispering, "Why aren't they reacting?" Plot twist. You're not ignoring them. You're just evolving in peace, and that is their worst nightmare, because, chosen one, your calm didn't just confuse them. It exposed them. It shook them. It even, yes, made them a little obsessed. And now, you're about to find out that while you were quiet, someone was watching. While you were still, the storm was growing. And the big news that's headed your way? It's going to change everything. Let's get into it. Number 1, your calm isn't silence. It's an earthquake in disguise. They thought your calm meant you had nothing to say, that you were just passive, maybe even weak. But what they never realized is that your calm was the very thing dismantling them from the inside out. While they were throwing drama, insults, games, and manipulation your way, expecting you to crack, you stood still. That silence wasn't empty, it was strategy. That stillness wasn't fear, it was restraint. And that's what's shaking them now. You didn't just walk away, you left them with no target, no fuel, no chaos to feed on. And when a person survives off reaction, your peace becomes their starvation. What most people miss is this. Calm people aren't always calm because life's been easy. Most times, the calmest souls have walked through hell over and over again. And instead of screaming about it, they learned to breathe through it. They built that calm like armor. You, chosen one, built yours from pain, from discipline, from wisdom, so when someone tried to get you to explode, you didn't even flinch. Not because you didn't feel, but because you knew what it would cost you to go back to survival mode. And nothing, not their games, their guilt trips, their guiltless betrayal, was worth your peace anymore. Now they're pacing floors, checking your socials, overthinking every second you're not responding. They're telling others you've changed, that you're distant, that you're cold. But what they're not saying is that they lost access to the version of you who used to care too much, explain too much, cry too hard, and beg for basic decency. That version got tired. That version transformed. And now, your calm is unsettling because it shows them they no longer have a grip on your emotions. They expected thunder, they got silence. They prepared for war, you gave them a closed door, and that's what's got them climbing the walls now, because when you don't react, they're forced to face the truth without a distraction. Your energy, your silence, your calm, it's not just peace, it's closure. It's checkmate. And now, they finally understand. You weren't quiet because you were weak. You were quiet because you were already free. Number 2, your composure holds a mirror to their madness. Your calm makes people uncomfortable because it exposes what they've been trying to hide. You walk into a room and don't have to say a word. Suddenly, someone's energy shifts. Their voice gets louder. Their jokes get harsher. Their vibe gets tense. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your presence holds up a mirror to their instability. You're not trying to provoke anyone, but when you're steady and grounded, it quietly calls out the ones who aren't. That's the real reason they're climbing the walls. Your calm isn't just peace. It's confrontation without force. It makes them squirm because you're showing them without saying a thing who's really in control of themselves and who isn't. For people who thrive on manipulation, drama, or emotional chaos, your composure feels like a personal attack. They can't use their usual tricks. They can't trigger you, distract you, or throw you off course. They keep trying to bait you into reacting the way you used to, but you've outgrown those loops. And that growth, that's threatening. Your emotional self-control exposes their lack of it. They start to feel insecure, not because you're better than them, but because your stillness reflects their storm back to them. And storms don't like being exposed. The truth is, you're no longer trying to prove anything to anyone. You're not showing up to be liked, validated, or accepted. You're showing up with peace, and that type of energy checks people without you ever raising your voice. That's what makes you powerful. Your aura speaks louder than any argument ever could. You don't need to defend yourself, because your presence makes it obvious who's solid and who's performative. People can't fake authenticity when standing next to it, and you, chosen one, are the real thing. So yes, your calm has someone climbing the walls, probably more than one person, because the peace you carry forces people to face themselves. And let's be honest, not everyone is ready for that level of honesty. Not everyone wants to admit they were the problem, but your energy keeps reminding them, without a word, that you didn't change to hurt them. You changed to heal yourself, and your healing is making the unhealed extremely nervous. Number 3. Someone is losing control because you never needed their validation. Someone out there is spiraling, and it's because you never gave them what they were banking on, your need for their approval. From the beginning, they studied your patterns, your kindness, your vulnerability. They believed deep down that if they dangled a little recognition or affection in front of you, you'd stay hooked. They saw your loyalty and tried to twist it into dependency. But what they didn't see coming was your awakening. You woke up to the game. You stopped needing what they were using to control you. And that's when the panic started. The calm way you detached is driving them insane. You didn't lash out. You didn't plead. You didn't beg them to see your worth. You just stepped back and let your silence speak volumes. That wasn't passive. That was power. The moment you stopped seeking their validation, the entire dynamic flipped. They weren't the authority anymore. You were. You had nothing to prove, and they had nothing left to withhold. And when you no longer chase what someone's using to manipulate you, you take away their favorite weapon. They're climbing the walls now because they realize something terrifying. They never actually had power over you. They only had access to the parts of you that hadn't healed yet. Once you started to see through the games, you became untouchable. And now they're not just confused, they're obsessed. They're rereading old messages, stalking your energy, wondering how someone they thought they had wrapped around their finger just disappeared emotionally without warning. They don't understand that your silence wasn't an act of revenge. It was a final decision. You didn't cut them off to hurt them. You outgrew the need for their role in your life. That's what's truly shaking them. Because they thought they were the prize, the sun, the center of your emotional orbit. But now you don't orbit around anything but peace, and they're left spinning, directionless, trying to figure out how they lost control over someone they thought would never walk away. And the real kicker? You were never weak. You were just loyal. And once you gave that loyalty back to yourself, they lost their hold completely. Now your peace is their chaos. Number 4. You broke generational conditioning by doing nothing they expected. You broke the rules without burning the house down, and that's what made your rebellion so powerful. They expected you to explode, to fight back the way the family always did, loud, messy, dramatic. That's what generational cycles taught them, that rage equals strength and silence equals weakness. But you flipped the script. You didn't fight their way. You chose clarity over chaos. And that decision? It didn't just surprise them, it exposed everything they tried to keep buried. You walked away without screaming. You said no without apology. You stopped chasing approval from people who only knew how to love conditionally. You didn't argue to be understood, you simply understood yourself. That kind of clarity is dangerous in systems built on guilt, shame, and emotional manipulation. They wanted you to break down like the ones before you. They wanted to label you ungrateful, disrespectful, too distant, but how could they when you weren't being destructive? You were just done. That's what's driving them mad. You didn't rebel with fire. You rebelled by refusing to play the game. You stopped engaging in conversations that went nowhere. You stopped reacting to the same triggers. You stopped performing the role you were trained to play. And in doing nothing they expected, you dismantled everything they believed made them powerful over you. Your lack of participation wasn't avoidance, it was mastery. Generational conditioning told you to shrink, to keep the peace, to tolerate disrespect because that's just how things are. But you looked that tradition in the eye and said, not with me, not anymore. You broke the cycle without dragging anyone through the mud, and that's why your presence now makes them uncomfortable. You remind them of what they didn't have the courage to do. You remind them of freedom they were too afraid to choose. And here's the truth. Your quiet exit wasn't weakness. It was a declaration. You left the battlefield, not because you lost, but because you realized you were never supposed to be at war with your own blood to begin with. That clarity didn't just set you free, it shook the entire system. Number 5. Your nervous system became too regulated to be controlled. The calm you carry now isn't an accident. It's the result of serious inner work. You've done the emotional heavy lifting most people run from. You've sat with your pain. You've examined your wounds. You've stopped numbing yourself just to keep the peace. And because of that, your nervous system is no longer in survival mode. You're not reacting out of trauma anymore. You're responding, or not responding at all, from a place of deep awareness. And for some people, that's terrifying. There are folks in your life who were only comfortable with you when you were dysregulated, when you were anxious, confused, overthinking, over-explaining. They liked you better when your nervous system was fried because it made you easier to manipulate. It kept you chasing their approval, trying to fix things, walking on eggshells. But now, you're grounded. You pause before you speak. You breathe before you respond. You see the trap before you step into it. And that kind of emotional clarity makes manipulators lose their grip. Someone built their entire role in your life around destabilizing you. Their sense of importance came from being able to shake you, to poke at your triggers, to make you feel small, insecure, uncertain. That's how they stayed relevant in your world. But you healed the parts of you that used to let them in. You stopped needing their validation to feel okay. You're no longer looking to outside chaos to explain your inner unrest, because your inner world is now calm, rooted, and sovereign. Now they're standing at the door banging for a reaction, and nothing opens. You're not angry, you're not bitter, you're just done. And that's what terrifies them, because they don't know how to deal with a version of you that can't be emotionally hijacked anymore. You've become a locked door with no handle on their side, no buttons to push, no strings to pull. Your peace isn't passive, it's a boundary. Your calm isn't weakness, it's closure. And the fact that they can't reach the version of you they used to manipulate, that's driving them mad in a way that screaming never could. Number 6. You're not mysterious, you're uncolonizable. People keep calling you mysterious, distant, or hard to read, but the truth is you're not hiding. You've just stopped performing. You're not putting yourself on display for people to dissect anymore. You're not trying to prove you're lovable, smart, worthy, or safe. That need to be understood by everyone, you let it go. And what's left is not a mask, but your essence. And it just so happens that your essence can't be colonized by people who were trained to only connect through control, codependency, or chaos. They can't figure you out because they're using the wrong language to interpret you. They're looking at you through filters built on trauma, on manipulation, on emotional games, and you simply don't operate in that space anymore. You don't speak in guilt. You don't barter your truth for belonging. You don't abandon yourself to make other people feel secure. That's not mystery, it's sovereignty. And the reason they're so confused by you is because they've rarely encountered someone who isn't secretly looking to be owned, consumed, or managed. To people who rely on drama to bond, your peace looks suspicious. To people who need chaos to feel alive, your presence feels too quiet. They're not used to someone who just is, without needing to dominate or submit. That makes you unreadable to those who only understand people through dysfunction. And so they try to fit you into their frameworks. They label you cold, avoidant, arrogant, or too deep. But all they're really saying is, you don't play the game I'm used to winning. You're not unreachable. You're just inaccessible to people who still want access to you through old patterns. They're trying to figure you out like a problem. But you're not a puzzle to be solved. You're a whole human being who healed the parts of yourself that needed outside approval to feel seen. And now that your energy doesn't bend to manipulation, they call you mysterious because they can't control you. You're not mysterious, you're uncolonizable. And to people who only know how to connect by conquering, that's terrifying. Number 7. Your calm is an execution order to every lie ever told about you. Your calm doesn't just protect you, it destroys every false narrative ever built around your name. The silence you hold isn't passive, it's lethal. Because when someone lies about you, they expect you to panic. They expect you to rush to defend yourself, to scream your innocence, to prove a point. But when you don't, when you stay rooted, collected, and completely unbothered, it sends a ripple of fear through their whole illusion. Your stillness becomes the proof they can't explain away. That's when the smear campaign starts to collapse. Because lies need noise to survive. They need drama. They need back and forth. They feed on confusion and chaos. And the moment you stop playing into that chaos, the lies begin to starve. Your calm signals something undeniable. You don't need to fight because you have nothing to hide. And that terrifies people who were hoping the world would never see the truth. They were counting on your reaction to validate their version of the story. They needed you to look unstable, angry, bitter, petty, anything but peaceful. But instead, you gave them nothing. No meltdown, no message, no breakdown. Just clarity, just peace, just the quiet confidence of someone who knows they've already won. And now the very ones who tried to bury your reputation are left exposed, scrambling to control a narrative that's falling apart right in front of them. Because the truth has a way of rising, especially when you stop fighting to force it. People start asking questions, people start noticing inconsistencies. And without your bad behavior to serve as the scapegoat, guess who's left standing alone in the spotlight? The ones who are doing all the talking, all the exaggerating, all the projecting. Now it's their credibility that's being dissected, and they're panicking because they never thought the attention would turn back on them. Your calm was never weakness, it was precision, it was strategy. It was an execution order to every lie ever spoken about you. And now the story's unraveling, not because you fought, but because you didn't have to. You let truth walk in on its own, and it's louder than any defense you could have ever given. Number 8. You were their psychological experiment, but you refused to malfunction. They didn't just mistreat you, they studied you, watched how you responded to subtle jabs, backhanded compliments, and sudden withdrawals of affection. It wasn't random, it was intentional. They wanted to know how much pressure it would take to make you collapse. It wasn't love, it was an experiment, an emotional maze they thought you'd never escape. They tested your patience, your loyalty, your self-worth. They watched you closely, waiting for the moment you'd finally break so they could say, "See? I knew they were unstable." But you didn't. You didn't fall apart. You woke up. They tried everything: guilt, gaslighting, betrayal, dressed up as tough love. They exploited your empathy, manipulated your hope, and used your past pain as a roadmap to get inside your head. You were the lab rat. Every action was calculated to see if you'd snap. But instead of malfunctioning, you evolved. They didn't expect that. They didn't expect you to grow stronger under pressure. They didn't expect you to detach without turning bitter. They didn't expect you to find peace without their permission. And now, they don't know what to do with you. You refusing to crumble ruined the whole experiment. Because now, the data doesn't support their theory. You didn't become what they accused you of. You didn't play the villain in their story. You didn't explode so they could play the victim. You chose growth. And in doing that, you exposed the real instability. Them. Their obsession with controlling your reactions. Their fixation on proving their superiority. Their need to see you broken so they wouldn't have to fix themselves. Now your calm is unbearable for them. It's proof that you were never the problem. It's confirmation that no matter how cruel, calculated, or covert their tactics were, you stayed solid. You healed the parts of yourself they thought would always be their access point. That realization? It's not just bothering them, it's haunting them. Because deep down, they know they lost control over someone they never truly understood in the first place. The chosen can't be created in chaos. They're revealed through it. And you? You were never their experiment. You were their lesson. Number 9. You mastered the art of emotional detachment, not indifference. You're often misunderstood when you don't react the way others expect. People label you cold or uncaring because you don't wear your emotions on your sleeve, but that's the biggest mistake they make. You didn't stop feeling. You stopped giving away your power through uncontrolled reactions. You mastered emotional detachment, which is worlds apart from indifference. Detachment is a conscious choice. Indifference is a void. You've learned that not every situation deserves your energy. You know that reacting impulsively can chain you to other people's chaos, dragging you into conflicts and dramas that don't serve your growth or peace. So instead of getting caught in emotional whirlwinds, you step back, observe, and decide where your energy truly belongs. That's not apathy, it's strategy, it's wisdom, it's sovereignty. This mastery is what makes you both divine and dangerous. Divine because you operate from a place of calm, clarity, and control that others haven't reached. Dangerous because it dismantles the toxic dynamics people tried to trap you in. When you don't respond to their bait, their manipulations fall flat. You become untouchable, no longer a puppet to pull strings on. You've realized the true cost of misused energy, not just in the moment, but in the long term. Every emotional outburst or reaction is like spending currency. When you waste it on negativity, fear, or drama, you bankrupt your own spirit. But by mastering detachment, you protect your emotional wealth. You don't let others bankrupt you anymore. So you're not indifferent or unfeeling. You're crystal clear about what deserves your response and what doesn't. That clarity protects your peace and keeps your power intact. And that's why your calm demeanor shakes those who depended on your emotional reactions. They thought they had you figured out. Instead, you proved them wrong by simply refusing to be the player in their game. You rewrote the rules by choosing when and if you show up emotionally. That's true mastery. Number 10. Your calm is making powerless people expose themselves. When you stay calm in the face of chaos, it does more than protect you. It exposes the true nature of everyone around you. People who thrive on drama and control can't stand being met with stillness. Their usual tactics, provoking, accusing, throwing out wild accusations, or sabotaging situations, fall flat. They're desperate for a reaction, because without one, their power feels like it's slipping through their fingers. So what do? They start unraveling themselves. They project their own insecurities onto you, lash out without reason, or spiral into reckless behavior, all in an attempt to force a crack in your calm. But you don't take the bait. You hold your ground, steady and unshaken. And that's when the truth comes out, loud and clear. The room begins to see who's really off balance. The ones throwing tantrums and spinning wild stories suddenly look less like victims and more like troublemakers. Their desperation becomes obvious, and the mask slips. When you refuse to engage emotionally, their instability becomes the spotlight's unwilling star. Your calm is like a mirror, reflecting their chaos back at them in a way they can't control or hide. And that scares them, because it means their secrets, insecurities, and weaknesses are suddenly out in the open, visible to everyone willing to watch. So your calm isn't just about inner peace. It's a powerful force that forces others to reveal who they truly are. It strips away the smoke and mirrors and leaves their true selves bare. And the more they try to push you off balance, the more they end up exposing their own instability to the world. In essence, your quiet strength holds a power they never saw coming. It's not just that you won't fall, it's that their own unraveling becomes impossible to ignore. And everyone watching can tell exactly who's holding it together and who's falling apart. Number 11. Someone with influence is watching you with obsessive fascination. Behind the scenes, someone with real influence is quietly fixated on you, not out of idle curiosity, but with an intense, almost obsessive fascination. This isn't the kind of attention that comes with flashy displays or loud declarations. No, it's the kind that zeroes in on your rare ability to stay calm when everything around you is spinning out of control. They see something in you that most overlook. Leadership born not from noise or aggression, but from steady composure. This person watches how you hold your ground when others crumble, how your silence speaks volumes in rooms filled with chaos. They're not fooled by superficial charm or empty bravado. Instead, they recognize the power it takes to be unmoved, to think clearly, and to act deliberately in moments where most would panic or react rashly. To them, Your calm is a signal, an unspoken announcement that you're ready for more, ready to lead, to influence, to change the game. They might not have approached you yet, maybe because timing is everything, or maybe because they're still trying to understand exactly how to position you in their world. But make no mistake, your steady presence has already made an impact. Behind closed doors, plans are being drawn, strategies considered. Your name is being discussed, not as a question, but as an answer. This fascination isn't just admiration, it's recognition of potential. It's the kind of attention that can open doors you didn't even know existed. So even if you don't hear their voice or see their face right now, trust that your calm is working in your favor. You're being noticed not for the noise you make, but for the quiet strength you embody. And soon that quiet strength will become the foundation for your rise. Number 12. You unlocked a threat level they didn't expect from someone so quiet. They were waiting for a meltdown, a loud outburst, anything to prove they had you figured out. Instead, they got something far more unsettling, a calm, unshakable strategist who never lost control. You didn't feed into their drama or react to their provocations. You observed, absorbed every detail, and quietly evolved without making a scene. This silent upgrade, it's a power move they never saw coming. While they wasted energy trying to shake you, you were building strength behind the scenes. You weren't just surviving. You were mastering your environment, refining your responses, and sharpening your instincts. This wasn't about immediate reaction. It was about long-term preparation. And now that preparation is glowing so brightly, it's caught the attention of people you might never have expected, including your enemies. What's truly terrifying for them isn't your calm. It's the knowledge that calmness isn't your default state but a chosen strategy. It means you're not just holding steady. You're readying yourself for what's next. You're quietly assembling your power, your allies, your moves. And that silent threat is far more dangerous than any rash outburst because it's calculated, deliberate, and inevitable. They underestimated the power of quiet strength because they mistook noise for power. But real power doesn't shout. It waits. It plans. It strikes when the time is right. Your calm isn't a sign of weakness. It's a signal that you're a force they can't predict, can't control, and ultimately can't stop. And that uncertainty, that's driving them absolutely crazy. Number 13. You are now a living consequence. You're no longer just a person in their story. You've become the consequence they never prepared for. They expected conflict, drama, pain. They wanted a reaction that fit their narrative. But you didn't give them what they wanted. You didn't retaliate, argue, or fight back. Instead, you disengaged. You stepped away with quiet strength, leaving a space they thought would be easy to fill with chaos. But that silence, your refusal to meet them on their terms, is a judgment more powerful than any words or actions could be. It says, without saying a thing, that you see through the games, the manipulation, and the lies. Your peace is a mirror reflecting their instability, and that reflection punishes them harder than any argument ever could. Now your absence is a loud presence. The space you used to occupy is like a vacuum that pulls at their nerves. They're climbing the walls, not because you struck them down, but because you didn't. They're haunted by what they lost, the power to control, to provoke, to shake you. That loss echoes in every frustrated move they make, every desperate attempt to regain ground that's already slipped through their fingers. You being calm and disengaged isn't weakness, it's consequence in action. It's a living reminder that sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. And the fact that your silence unsettles them so deeply, that's proof you're no longer their victim, you're their reckoning. Number 14. God made you unbothered as a divine weapon, not a weak one. Your calm isn't some accidental trait or a simple coping mechanism. It's a divine weapon forged through fire. God didn't make you unbothered because you're weak or disconnected. He made you unbothered because your spirit is too powerful to be shaken by the chaos others throw at you. This level of calm runs deep. It's spiritual armor that shields you from every attack meant to break you down. It's a peace that wasn't handed to you on a silver platter. You earned it through every test, every moment of isolation, every time you were stripped down to your core and forced to face the raw truth of who you are. You were pushed into the wilderness of your own soul, alone, vulnerable, but not defeated. That place was not a punishment. It was a crucible. It was where your spirit was awakened, purified, and transformed into something unstoppable. The peace you now carry is a product of that intense, refining process. It didn't come cheap or easy. It came from facing your darkest moments and choosing not to be ruled by fear, anger, or desperation. Instead, you found strength in surrender, power in stillness, and clarity in silence. This kind of calm terrifies people who only know power through control and dominance. They're used to breaking others down by pushing their buttons, manipulating emotions, and stirring drama. But you're different. Your peace isn't passive or weak. It's active and deliberate. It's a silent countdown to a major shift they don't see coming. Your calm signals a force that's growing, preparing to rise and change the game entirely. It unsettles those who rely on chaos to stay in power because your stillness exposes their fragility. You're not just surviving, you're a living testament that true power comes from within. You carry a divine weapon in your unbothered spirit, one that cuts through lies, manipulations, and attacks without making a sound. And that's what makes you dangerous. Your calm isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning of a reckoning that's already underway. Your calm is not just a state of being, it's a profound declaration. It's the silent roar of a soul that has been tested, refined, and awakened beyond the chaos that once sought to consume it. Every moment you chose clarity over reaction, peace over conflict, and sovereignty over submission, you shattered the expectations they had of you. You weren't the loud rebellion they anticipated. You were the quiet storm brewing beneath the surface, unstoppable and uncontainable. This calm is a living force, a divine weapon carved from pain, patience, and spiritual awakening. It unsettles those who thrive on control and manipulation because it reveals their true fragility. It exposes every lie told about you, every attempt to destabilize you, and every shadow of doubt cast your way. When you stand unmoved, you become the embodiment of truth and resilience, forcing others to confront their own weaknesses without uttering a single word. Behind the scenes, your composure has not gone unnoticed. There are forces, some visible, some hidden, who watch with keen interest as you master your power and prepare to rise. Your calm isn't passive, it's strategic, a preparation for a shift that will disrupt old patterns and elevate you beyond their reach. What they feared was your reaction, but what truly terrifies them is your preparation and the undeniable strength you wield in silence. Remember, your calm isn't a retreat, it's a victory. It's the echo of a spirit unbothered by petty games and toxic attempts to control you. It's the mark of someone who has transcended the noise and reclaimed their power on their own terms. So hold fast to that peace, nurture it, and let it fuel your rise. Because your calm is not just your shield, it's the beginning of a new era where you lead unshaken, undeniable, and utterly unstoppable. If this message hit deep and you feel the shift happening inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button right now, because here we dive beyond the surface and bring the truths nobody else dares to speak. Like this video, if you're ready to own your calm and power, drop a comment below to share your story or thoughts. Your voice matters and could change someone's life today. And don't forget to share this with someone who needs to see it, because the more who wake up, the stronger we all become. This isn't just a channel, it's a movement, and you're at the forefront. Let's rise together.